Welcome, hotshots, to Flashlight by Firepower X. Here you can find the industrial strength tools you need to dominate your personal and professional wellness as a firefighter. My name is Jess. I'm your host for today's webinar, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our special guest today, Mr. Rob Gancarz, a 38-year-old career firefighter inspector from central New Jersey. He's served in Antarctica, Spain, Hilton Head Island, and Evesham Fire Rescue. He holds a fire science admin degree from Eastern Kentucky University and an NPA from Anna Maria College. Currently, he also leads Jacobstown Volunteer Fire Company as their volunteer fire chief. Welcome, Chief Gancarz. So good to have you
Thank
here
you.
today.
Thank you, Jess. It's great to be on your show.
I know it's been a hot second. So Rob and I served together in Antarctica. That's where we first met.
Many
And
moons ago.
oh man, yeah, it feels like a different lifetime. I
Yes, it
don't
is.
know your origin story, Rob. How did you get started in firefighting? Let's start there.
Where I'm currently serving as chief, my dad was a charter member. The members back then, they built the building literally with their own two hands and some materials that they procured
Hmm.
various things and ways, statute of limitations, but they got some things and they built the building. It was actually a substation of another fire company. And my dad and his buddies, they built the building and got a truck and then eventually broke off from that fire company. That was back in the 70s and 80s. And then I was born in 86. So I was born and raised in that building. As soon as I could turn 16 and join, I joined as a junior member. 18, I was in Fire One. Then that kind of kicked off my college and what I would call as my career start because I was good at it. I was number one in the academy, my fire academy, until I had an absence that got counted against me for a school project or a school trip. I missed a week because of a school trip, and then they counted that against me because it wasn't excused. I got bumped to number four, but I was good at firefighting apparently. And
Mhm.
then that rolled fire science degree at my local community college and then EKU and then all my careers and travels and everything after that.
That's funny. A lot of us have similar stories of starting young on the volunteer side. So now I have to ask, I'm dying to know which kid is your favorite, volunteer side or career side?
I think I'm going to say the volunteer side because I
Mhm.
guess one, because in my position now, I'm able to affect more change being the chief. I consider myself one of the blue collar chiefs. As you notice, I'm wearing a blue polo and not a white polo. I'm a working chief. When the guys are doing stuff at the station, I'm right there with them. I'm not sitting in the office and just telling them what to do. I'm out there doing it.
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to pick up the broom, things like that. I
Mhm.
still ride the ambulance, not as much now that I've had my son. Before he was born, I was riding twice a week easily.
Mhm.
How many fire chiefs are still riding the ambulance on a regular basis?
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah.
So, and that's all volunteer. That's a tough question because I love the fire service.
Mhm.
I'm a career firefighter. I'm a volunteer firefighter. I sell fire equipment as a side gig. It's like in my blood. I stay up on things across the country. I was the union shop steward at one point last year till I got dethroned by my
Mhm.
buddy Brendan Simpson. A little shout out to him. So when he's listening, he knows he dethroned me. That might change again. We'll see. I'm involved heavily in all aspects of it, but the volunteers is my baby. It's
Mhm.
the company I started at as a junior. It's had its ups and downs, but I can honestly say like the last 2 years have been some of the best times in the 20 some years I've been there. I have a better turnout on a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock than I do on a Sunday afternoon on 2 o'clock or when everybody should be home. That's wild to me, but I got a ton of shift workers. We've created a really good culture. Actually, if you follow our Facebook, we just had a pretty bad crash the other night. Myself and the mutual aid chief were like, after the call, actually yesterday, we were with each other and we're like, that call went really well. Our
Mhm.
crews work together and it's just good leadership between the two companies, good cultures between the two companies. That's what I love about the volunteer service. Like it's so fluid. It's also tough because one bad personality can change all that
It's true.
really quickly. But I fought really hard for a long time to get my company where it's at. So I would say the volunteer service right now, and my company specifically, is my baby. Nursed it, loved it, cared for it, and got it to where it's at today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can feel your investment.
I have a great team behind me, and that took a lot of, again, caring, nurturing, some tough love sometimes, but the
Mhm.
team I got right now, second to none. I'd put them up against a lot of career crews anyway. They're very passionate. They know their job. I'm just one guy. It's them. They really put things together for me.
Yeah, it's good to hear that you guys are thriving because I know my old department in Western PA, they've been forced to go to a hybrid model. I just interviewed one of the captains from over there. So, what's your secret for retention and recruitment? How do you stay getting good turnout on a Tuesday afternoon?
Uh, Recruitment, I ask everybody, hey, you live in town or you're local, maybe in the surrounding towns. Do you want to join a fire company? Do you want to do EMS? Since we still do EMS, my hands are, I don't know what to do with my hands.
You're fine. You're
Um,
good.
so we do EMS, so that actually brings in a lot of people because the other surrounding companies either don't do EMS or their career now or
Mhm,
their EMS is career.
mhm,
So that we provide a lot of opportunity for young people that want to get their EMT certification, maybe for a job or some experience in the medical field. So that helps us. But I ask everybody if I
mhm,
see you and you're local to my community and you're young and you don't have anything to do, I ask you. Asking's free. I think a lot of opportunity is lost because people just don't ask. It's not the Facebook post. Everybody reads a Facebook post, oh, be a volunteer, but nobody clicks, nobody follows that.
Yeah.
You're out in person, you see somebody, you stop them, you ask them their name, you talk to them for a second, you ask them, hey, why don't you stop by the station on Monday night? And we'll give you a tour. Every new person, when I meet with them, I don't try to recruit. I just tell them, look, uh, if you want to join, let's set up a meeting. You're going to come into my station. We're going to tour you around. I'm going to sit there and ask you questions about what we can do for you, the
Mhm,
things we offer. There's a ton of benefits to being a volunteer. We have tuition assistance. My township just opened up a municipal gym. It's nothing big, but something, another benefit. We
mhm,
have a ton of benefits. So that's with recruitment, that's our
mhm,
shtick. Like ask everybody. We have the military base right next door, so that helps. Only
mhm.
thing is those people, we get them for 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years the most. But typically after that, they're gone. If you're going to be here more than a year, I'll invest in you, no problem. If you're not going to be here more than a year, I'll let you join. Come hang out. You do the non-interior stuff, the exterior firefighting kind of stuff, just to get some experience, make some friends, and if you take off, you take off, no problem. But if you're going to be here more than a year, I'll send you to the academy, no problem. But retention, that's probably one of the bigger things right now. I think the fire service is missing. You do something for 7 years and you're going to do it for the rest of your life. All right, everybody's got a clock, a 7 year clock ticking down. And if I can keep them for that 7 years, they're going to stay around. My town, it's a great town to live in. Taxes are cheap, but it's hard. The property values are really high. So it's hard to get new younger couples that come in and can make that commitment. So the ones I have, definitely try to keep them around. The key, I think, for retention is you got to weed out the drama early. Like you can't let it get deep seated. You can't be afraid to throw people out or the people that aren't coming around, just fade them out, phase them out. They don't show up for drills. They don't show up for meetings, pull their gear. They're not going to show up. The more you coddle them, your active people, they get mad, they get upset with that. So weed that drama out. And I'm sure my volunteers, when they watch this, if they watch this, they're gonna say he doesn't do that. There's certain people, we gotta play the game. It's always a game to play. The ones that are toxic, you definitely gotta weed them out. There's some that, yeah, they have gear hanging, they a couple calls a year, but they're not a problem. Maybe they hang around a little longer, but people that you gotta get rid of them. And once they leave, you can't bring them back. We always have the people that make the rounds. They're at that company, that company, that company. Come, oh hey, I want to join again. No, no, no. I've been around long enough. I remember you. No,
Mhm.
we're not gonna play this game again.
Yeah. Thank you. You're the first person to say that. Getting rid of the drama is like huge, especially with volunteers. Cause yeah,
Oh,
that'll chase your good members away faster than anything.
very
Cause when they're
quickly,
like,
yeah.
oh, I don't want to see Larry, or I hope Larry's not here,
Yeah.
or whoever.
There's always drama, no matter what you have. Type A personalities and a ton of them in a firehouse. You're always gonna have some sort of drama, but you got to put your foot down quick. If I know about it, I try to shut it down as quick as I can. My hardest problem has been not knowing about it. And I'm like, how long has this been going on? And
Mhm.
then next thing you know, oh, this has been going on for 2 weeks. Well, why
Mhm.
am I hearing about this now?
Mhm.
Well, what do you want us to do? I want you all to shut up and
Mhm.
just stop. Just knock it off.
Yeah.
But it's probably the number one thing. Everybody knows their job. Everybody knows how to show up and do their job, but it's the cliques that form and all that stuff. We still run by election, our officers, so that creates that's a wave of drama almost every year, just by nature of the beast. It's kind of built-in drama, but you have to put your foot down with that pretty quickly. You might lose members just over a silly election because it's a
Mhm.
popularity contest. People don't like to find out that they're not the popular people anymore.
Yep. Yep. And how fast people can change sides, and it's always exciting to find out. Thank you for that transparency. So let's talk about optimization of being a firefighter. Let's talk about work schedules, going to the 24/72 model.
So I'm going to be pretty vague because I don't want to get
Mhm.
myself jammed up here with work. But
Sure, yeah. What's good about this as opposed to 48/96?
we started doing a lot of research on 24-hour schedule. The north half of New Jersey is known for being a 24/72 schedule, pretty standard.
Oh.
The south, yeah, South Jersey is it's very between doing the research on our own, reaching
Mhm.
out through the unions. We were already on a 42-hour work week when we started, so we
Mhm.
were not looking to work more hours, especially for no change in pay. So we pushed pretty hard. The unions did their job, and we started on some trial bases. We only had one station that was 24/72, and we just recently transferred the other station to 24/72 as well. And we still work with a volunteer crew at night. So right now, there's some good things going. People can follow my union page or my department page and monitor what's going on.
Mhm.
But we did a lot of research. We put together our own study. It was about 20 pages long, everything from sleep schedules, and there was comparisons between the state, North Jersey, and all that, and then the whole union. We put together a big research paper. Did anybody look at it? I have no idea. We looked at it, the firefighters did,
Mhm.
and we put a lot of work and effort, but really there's not a lot on the national scale. Do you follow Behind the Shield?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's pushing pretty hard for it,
They
his
push,
channels.
yeah, they push Florida. Pretty much they got the governor to sign a document starting to push Florida departments towards that schedule.
Hmm.
But on the national scale, there really wasn't that much. You'd think EFO papers, that's where I did a lot of research, and there really wasn't anything. Everybody wanted 4896s. That's a terrible schedule if you ask me. There's less drives to work, but that's not a busy department schedule. 48 hours of no sleep and getting hammered, that's not going to be good for you. It's great for the county fire departments out
Hmm.
there, but it's not going to be good for a city that's getting rocked 24/7. We do EMS, so we do a ton of EMS calls. It's just not gonna do it for you. We had other departments in our area do the on, off, on, 4 days off.
Hmm.
Again, that fifth day in the front of your rotation, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna get in accidents. You're gonna get hurt. It's exhausting. Straight 24/48, same thing. 2 days to recover, it's really not enough. You get one day to maybe come home, nap, and recover, and then that second day is your day to kind of get stuff done, and then that night you're getting prepared to go back into work. So if you want any freedom or anything, you're doing it at the end of your first day off,
Yeah.
and you're still torched from your shift, and then you're gonna go, if you go out or whatever, and then the next day you're just getting ready to do it all over again. We fought pretty hard. That's what we settled on, and
Mhm.
we're all pretty happy. We're firefighters. It's a tough job. We get hurt. I got the scars to prove it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera there.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, I got a broken hand. Of course, none of this was at work. This was
Yeah.
all outside at work, but we're busy guys, busy people. We get hurt. So I've worked all those different schedules in
Mhm.
my career. So in Hilton Head, I was 24/48s, and in Spain, I was that Cali swing 9 day rotation. And we
Mhm.
did the 24/24s down on the ice, which at 21 years old, 1 square mile science research base, it wasn't that bad. But in
Yeah.
the real world where you have other things going on, that's still the federal schedule. The
Yeah.
joint base right here, they still work 48/48
Oh.
with like a 8 day break after. It's crazy. I could not imagine the rest of my career like that. It's definitely taxing, and there is some research. I think we're going to start seeing more coming out with Behind the Shield, that podcast, and the things they say and what they're pushing. I want to say the whole state of Rhode Island, any career departments are 24/72s. I think that's by, I
Mm.
heard that. It could be a rumor, but it's like, how big the state is. There's not many career departments. So, at the end of the day, between 24/72s and 24/48s, I'm not interested in working 1,000 more hours. There's constantly Facebook battles on what schedule's the best. You get on there and you could almost see who's from New Jersey or who's from the Northeast, and because we're the ones 24/72, 24/72. And everybody's like, then you need 4 platoons. Yes, yes, you need 4 platoons. Police departments, there's no police departments working anything like that. And we're the only ones in the country that are exempt from
Mm.
overtime over 48 hours or 40 hours because you sleep on duty. I can tell you, one, I sleep like crap when I do sleep, and two, I don't get that much sleep at work, especially if I'm on the ambulance. There's nights I just like 1 hour, 2 hours, and I think that's just laying in bed. That's not even actually sleeping.
Yeah.
So firefighters across the country need to stand up and say, this firefighter rule in the FLSA needs to go away. It's
Mm.
ridiculous. We'll settle on 42 hours. 42 hours, we'll give you 2 extra hours at regular time. The standard schedule is 168 in a pay period, not this 212 and all that stuff. So that should be a national movement. And that's what, Behind the Shield and all that's what we need to get behind. The 168 and get rid of the firefighter rule, because it's not the 80s and the 70s anymore where we're sleeping. We're up all night. We're running thousands of calls per year. So
Yeah, things have changed for sure,
yeah,
especially with
yeah.
the load of EMS that we now
Oh,
run.
yeah, there was just some clip I saw. The biggest provider of EMS in the country is the fire service.
Hmm.
In New Jersey, we still have people like the hospitals do all the paramedicine and that's better. No, no, I won't get into that. But I rode on a paramedic ambulance in South Carolina, and I was probably a better EMT for it because I was directly with my paramedic partner all the time. I had to step up and operate, at a higher level of EMS to help him. But one thing I do want to push, because this was my actual part of the research paper we put together, is start times.
Mm,
Start
yes.
times are big. Everybody's like, oh, the earlier the better because I get in work and then I can get home early and get the kids off. But your day before you go in, you don't go to bed any earlier because you're going to work. I get up at 4:30 in the morning on the days I'm going into work.
Yeah.
I still go to bed at 11 o'clock at night. So I'm only looking at a couple hours of sleep with a less than 1 year old at home. The quality of that is not that good. 7 is better than 6. 8 is better than 7 is what the document that I found. My contribution to the paper, we're 6 o'clock start. I pushed for 7. We used to be 7 back when we were on days. That extra hour is going to make a big difference, but it is what it is. I need to adjust, and it's tough. It's tough to do.
Yeah. Out here in Colorado, we've had some departments starting to go to an evening start time, so 7 p.m. start
Yeah.
time. We're seeing that out here. I don't know if it's going to catch on with all the departments, but the ones who are a little more experimental have
Yeah,
been.
I'd be curious if fatigue rates and things are different. How they feel at the end of their shift.
But speaking of injuries, you mentioned injury recovery and how that impacts first responder mental health. Your scars you showed us, it happened outside of fire service. Were those farming accidents or?
Actually, yes, farming. I think it's actually deemed the most dangerous because there's so many farmers across the country. But per capita, it's not that dangerous. But when you look at just farmers, it's pretty dangerous. So yeah, all these are farm injuries. This was, I slipped on some ice while butchering turkeys for Thanksgiving. This, we were tearing a building down and I just leaned in a little too close when it decided to collapse. Another foot in, I would have just, the whole thing would have came on my head. But I think I caught a nail like on the
Mhm.
edge and it just gouged me. But the back injury, I mean, I know when it happened, but it took a year and a half to manifest into pain. But I vividly remember something that I would say was probably the initial herniation, and it was on duty. That was on duty, but Not on an incident, but we're working out, and I think that happened. At the time, it didn't hurt, so I was like, "Oh, I'm not an injury." But then a year and a half later, now I'm like, I remember that.
What did you learn from recovering?
Yes, when the initial injuries happened, at least the broken hand and my back, I was my hand I knew was going to be fine, but there were some changes going on, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get reassigned and have to do light duty." And fortunately, I had time so I could stay out and let it heal. But that was upsetting at the time because I didn't want to get reassigned. I was happy with everything that was going on, but the back injury that it took me a month really. I was trying to do some chiropractic care and whatnot rather than go get surgery, and it was so painful. I thought like this is career ending. I couldn't stand up straight. I was
Mm-hmm.
hunched over like a 90-year-old person, and in 10 out of 10 pain. It was bad. Like I'm strong-willed, but there's people that would have done more drastic things. I did finally go see a doctor that was able to give me some pain medicine that did help, but everything's going through your head. You have nothing but time to think, and your pain, I call it pain brain, is you're not thinking straight. I was like, man, this could be career ending. I'm barely vested in the pension. Like, what am I gonna do? Fortunately, I went and once I finally talked to the right doctors that said, go see a surgeon, I went, saw a surgeon, and he literally stopped me mid-sentence and he's like, yo, we're doing surgery tomorrow, probably.
Oh,
And
wow. Mm-hmm.
it was such a relief that somebody listened to and saw my symptoms and pain and everything. It was like, oh, okay. When they woke me up from the surgery, I literally cried because the pain was gone and there was hope. Every time the doctor walked in the room, I started like tearing up because I'm not a big crier, but I just had such relief because I was in so much pain. Oh, all right, maybe I'm not gonna have to retire medically and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. To him, it's just like, oh yeah, you're gonna be fine. Give it 12 weeks to heal and you're going back to work. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's like, oh, thank God, like this guy just saved my career. Like,
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna have to find a new job and all that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I have a friend who fractured her neck on duty and she was really close to retirement. I know how traumatic that's been for her. That's a pretty scary thought when you're like, oh shit, I am not immortal.
I had a cardiac thing in 2020, and that honestly, that the short time that till we got it figured out, that was like, what's going on? But my back, that was by far the worst.
Hmm.
I'll go have my heart run away and have to get the ablation again over my back pain. The back
Hmm.
pain was so terrible. I have a whole new respect when I go on an EMS call and somebody's got back pain. Before you had the injury, you're like, oh, come on, it can't be that bad. Now I'm
Hmm.
like, bro, if I could float you on a cloud, I would because I totally understand how bad it is. January 6th, I got the surgery. Literally, I woke up from the surgery like in such relief. So, such relief. So, I don't want to tell people go get under the knife, but if that's your next option, but
Hmm.
talk to the right doctors. Make sure you find a good one. It's helped me. Some people have bad luck with it, but
Yeah.
I've had tremendous good luck. While I was out, I'm a big guy, but I was trying to like focus on nutrition for healing.
Hmm.
Have bought a red light. I took all kinds of supplements. Like I did everything I could to get back up to speed and as fast as I could.
Hmm.
The PT was pretty terrible, but I got through that. But yeah, the pain brain, that was terrible. I was hurting mentally and physically.
Yeah. And hormone health for first responders. Let's touch on that briefly. What are some kind of signs and symptoms? Maybe you have an issue with your hormones as a first responder. I've never talked about this with anyone, so I'm excited.
If I was in my EFO, this is what I would do my paper on right now. I can't say I've done a ton of research, but it's probably the next can of worms that the fire service really needs to open up.
Mm.
We all talk about burnout and everything. I'm going to guess that this is all related to high cortisol, low testosterone, at least for males. I was tired all the time. I slept like crap. If you look it up, everything that you would say is low thyroid, which my dad has low thyroid, but low testosterone is almost the same thing. If
Mm.
you look at the symptoms, the 10 symptoms of each are almost identical. For the longest time, I went to my dad's endocrinologist and he kind of just was like, you're overweight. I
Mhm.
was like, okay, tell me something I don't know. There's all kinds of testosterone therapies and stuff all over Instagram and Facebook. And once you click on one, the algorithm just starts hitting. So I finally was like, let me click on one of these and just see what they're about. They're commercial for-profit companies. I clicked on one and there's one relatively local. So I was like, let me go get tested. And there's actually an IFF document about low testosterone in firefighters. And it says if you're under 300, I think it's milligrams per deciliter is the measurement, it's considered a disease. You're low testosterone. I
Yep.
was 130.
Wow.
So I
Okay.
was below half of what they're considering disease. Every year I did my blood work through our annual physical at work, and my blood work came back awesome. My cholesterol is great. There's always like one that's like a point or two over the range, but nothing stood out. Like, what the heck? My thyroid, we had it checked a couple of times. It was
Mhm.
fine. And now my testosterone finally comes back and it's super low. You know, poor sleep. I think I have a pretty good diet. I've raised my own animals and yeah, I'm still a big guy, but again, hormones contribute to this. I work out when I work out, I'm working my muscles, but I don't feel like I'm gaining muscle. I'm definitely not burning the fat that I should be. So I finally had some answers. There was some relief. I started going down the rabbit hole a little bit with the IFF paper, and the military starting to do a little more research with their members because they're burning out just like we are, sometimes
Mhm.
faster. It's the same thing. So probably my grandfather's testosterone when he was 80 was higher than mine at 30 or
Mhm.
25. Obviously, our environment's killing us. All the plastics, the phytoestrogen, all that stuff is just destroying our health. So we got to do our best to limit that. But burnout and suicide rates in the fire service are high. I would bet that this is probably a huge contributing factor that nobody wanted to talk about, that health insurance and nobody wants to deal with, or because they all call it concierge medicine. It's at will medicine. Well, mine was 130. That's a medical condition by the IFF in their
Mhm.
document. Why are we not treating this? We're not treating it through your insurance. You got to pay out of pocket for it.
Mhm.
I think that should all be addressed. At least in New Jersey, I'm paying towards my healthcare like $14,000 a year. I'm sure everybody else is. Why shouldn't we be treating these other ailments that probably are going to lead to burnout and or suicide rates are high? I know two people in my career that have committed suicide that I've worked directly with. One reason or another, I think one of them has probably contributed to something like this.
Mhm.
He was burning the candle at both ends, trying to make ends meet, and he couldn't take it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, this is an interesting theory. I come at it from the mental side, mental performance, but I can totally see when I was eating sugar, I realized I had to go keto. Sugar made me crazy. You could time it like 45 minutes after I'd have a cookie or something. I turned into a crazy person. And
Yeah, I
so,
mean, sugar, dyes,
yeah.
all of it, plastics, everything is just loaded with chemicals. And when I was in Spain, I
Hmm.
lost weight. I felt great. I had more energy than ever. I was sleeping less, but felt more energized or refreshed in the morning than I do here. And it's just everything. I don't know. I guess the EU, everything's better over there. I don't know. I felt like I drank more and ate like garbage over there, but I was healthier than I ever was.
That's a good point that you make.
There's tons of connections there. I think that's the next big thing. The fire service, I did a PFAS study where I sent my blood to, I think it was the university. They sent me a blood test kit and they sent me back my PFAS profile. And it was actually me and another firefighter from my work. We both did it. They were looking for two in each state. So we did it. He was military. So his profile was completely different than mine. They said ours was about mid range, both of ours, but now there's PFAS free gear, not to plug my company too much, but my company that I sell for, they
Hmm.
sell that. So our big push right now. And the foam in New Jersey, pretty much any Class B foam is, if it's not PFAS free, it's not to be used, or if it is used, you have to report it to the EPA. Our industry is laden with chemicals. Our lifestyles, just as Americans, are laden with chemicals and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a relief that I found it, but now I'm like, okay, I have to make some sweeping changes across my lifestyle.
Yeah. As we start to wrap this conversation up, which went so fast,
I
what
know. I'm honestly sad that I have to cut it short to go bale some hay to do some farm work and hopefully not get hurt.
I know, be careful. What do you want to leave our viewers with? What tool or resource to build their knowledge on today's conversation? What would you recommend?
So I go to seminars all the time. Last year I went to FDIC. We always have local seminars that I'm always trying to attend. Last year I went to the Eastern Division Chiefs was up here in Burlington County, New Jersey, and they had Frank Reed. They had his book, so I grabbed his book. we listened to him, and the two guys from Houston, they were the other presenters. Pretty much always go to those seminars if you can, 1 or 2 days. That's what keeps you refreshed. You're there with people that love the fire service. It's the hot topics in the book there, or the punchlines in the book. Be passionate, be a mentor, be a mentee still. Like, I'm 38 years old and I'm a fire chief, and I'm still learning. I'm still finding new mentors. It's sad because I'm losing some of my mentors now. A lot of them have retired, but now some of them are starting to pass, which is sad. But those seminars, those are the things. And Frank, I liked his message, so we grabbed his book.
Perfect. Any closing thoughts that you want other firefighters to hear or other chiefs to hear who are watching on things we need to look out for?
There's so many. Can we do a part two? We're gonna have to do a part two.
We can, yeah.
I mean, don't forget where you came from. Like I said, I'm the blue collar fire chief, but it all comes down to people forget where they came from. And now they're up in the seats. What we see a lot in is people turn into the things that they said they weren't going to do or they hated when they were firemen. We're going to do a part two, and we're going to talk about that. That's a whole. This time we focused on health, and that next time we're focused on that. I really enjoyed this. I do have to go bale some hay, so it's a great day for making hay, if you know what I mean.
Thank you, Rob, for coming on the show. Thank you for coming on the show. And thank you to our viewers. If you're still with us, we appreciate you. You're amazing. And as always, my door is always open to you at info@firepowerx.com. If you want to email me and follow up with questions, comments. Cheers for Rob, part two of this conversation. And thanks for watching, guys. Oh, do you have one last thought to add? Yes.
I'm willing, if people want to reach out to you and then reach out to me, questions or talk about things directly. I don't know if that's a thing, but yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll put Rob's contact info and his book recommendation in the show notes. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching.